You know those charts, right? The ones that promise a tiny, regular investment will just snowball into a fortune. You did everything right. You started investing. But when you actually look at your account balance, it's kind of flat. It's disappointing, isn't it? Well, it turns out those charts are hiding a secret. And today, we're going to expose the one thing they almost always leave out.
So why? Why the massive gap between the promise and your reality? I'll tell you right now. It's not a scam, and you're probably not doing it wrong. The real reason is an uncomfortable truth that kind of gets buried under all the hype and excitement. And there it is. That's the core of the issue. You see, there's a certain contribution amount you have to cross. If you're below that line for the first, 10 to 15 years, compounding is pretty much invisible. And this invisible phase, that's where all your motivation goes to die. It's where most new investors just quit.
Okay, so let's break this down. We're all told to start small. And you know what? That's actually good advice. But it comes with this huge catch that nobody ever talks about. See, the problem isn't starting small. The real problem is staying small. It all just comes down to this size problem. Think of it this way. 8% of a small number is still a really small number. For compounding to work its magic in a way you can actually feel, in a way that impacts your life, it needs a critical mass of money. The math is always working, sure, but the real-world impact, that depends entirely on the size of your pile.
Let's make this super real for a second. Let's say you do what you're told. You invest $50 every single month without fail.
After a full year of being disciplined, and let's assume you get a great 8% return, your investments have generated a grand total of $4. Yeah, just $4. I mean, the math worked, but that doesn't feel like you're building a fortune, does it? It feels completely invisible. And right here, this is the danger zone. This is that moment where people look at their $4 and they think, this is a joke. This investing thing is way overhyped. It's not for me. They quit. Not because compounding is a lie, but because they gave up during the decade it takes to finally become visible. And this brings us to what might be the most crucial point of all. In your first decade of investing, one thing matters so much more than your rate of return, and that one thing is your contribution rate. Literally, how much money you can put away. Just take a look at this. The time frame is the same, the 8% return is exactly the same. The only thing we're changing here is the monthly contribution. And the result? Well, it's staggering. Going from $50 a month to $400 a month doesn't just quadruple your outcome, it increases it by almost 8 times. Your savings rate, not your return, is the real engine of your early growth.
Now, this is the trap that so many people fall into. They see their tiny returns and they think, okay, the answer must be to chase riskier, high-return investments. But just look at this comparison. Trying to get a crazy 16% return with $200 a month leaves you with less money after 10 years than simply upping your contribution to $350 in a boring, safe 8% investment. The higher contribution strategy, it's not just safer, it's actually more profitable. It's not even a close call.
This quote right here just says it all. For that first decade, maybe even a little more, your monthly contribution is doing all of the heavy lifting. So forget trying to find the next hot stock. In the beginning, you are your own best investment. Your focus shouldn't be on the market, it should be on your savings rate. So let's try to reframe this whole thing. Building wealth isn't one long, smooth, upward curve like in the charts. It's really a 2-phase process. And just understanding which phase you're in, that's the key to staying motivated and not giving up. So phase 1 is what we call the contribution grind. And as you can see, in those early years, the vast majority of your portfolio's growth, we're talking over 80%, it comes directly from the money you put in. Your returns, they're just this tiny little sliver. This isn't a sign that you're failing. It's just a sign that you're in phase 1. At this stage, you are the engine. But if you can just push through that grind, you finally reach phase 2, the compounding acceleration. And this, my friends, is where the magic really happens. Look at that. The roles completely flip. Your investment returns are now the dominant force, making up 75% of your growth. Your money has become the engine, and you are just along for the ride. This is the goal. So the big question is, when does this shift happen? Well, that tipping point is typically right around the $100,000 mark. See, at that level, a conservative 8% return generates $8,000 a year on its own. That's nearly $700 a month that your money's earning for you without you lifting a finger. That's when compounding finally becomes visible. That's when it starts to feel real. Okay, so your primary goal isn't just to invest. Your real goal is to reach phase two as fast as humanly possible. So what's the plan? How do you get to that $100,000 threshold sooner rather than later? Listen, there's no secret trick here. It's all about one thing: aggressive contribution. So here's the path. First, just add $50 more to your next investment. That's it. Next, automate it. Set it up so the money gets transferred on payday before you even have a chance to see it. Then, commit to investing half of every single raise you get in the future. And finally, you have to start treating your investment like a non-negotiable bill, because paying your future self, that's the most important bill you have. And this right here is the golden rule of growing your contributions. Don't rely on willpower. Don't plan to invest whatever is left over at the end of the month, because let's be honest, there's never anything left over. You have to automate it. Pay your future self first, and then force the rest of your life to adapt to what remains. So we'll leave you with this question. Look, it's not about whether compounding works. We all know the math works. The real question is, are you contributing enough fuel for that mathematical engine to actually matter? The power to accelerate through that invisible phase and build real, tangible wealth, it's entirely in your hands.